I'm Andrea Kazee.
And I'm Faryn Schulte.
And today on Simple as That, we are going to show you some simple things to dress up your holidays with these beautiful fall decorations and ideas. The first thing we're going to show you is how to paint pumpkins and classy them up. We're going to show you how to do some napkin folding, create candy corn votive candles, take a printable and create a framed printable.
And we're going to make these pumpkin cookie jars for favors for your guests.
And finally, create some really beautiful centerpieces with old wine bottles spray painted as candy corn.
Okay, so let's get started and we'll go over pumpkin painting first. It's pretty simple. Let's move all this out of the way. It required very minimal supplies. I went to Walmart. I picked out a bunch of brushes. They just came in a pack. They were inexpensive. And I had found some ideas on Pinterest how I wanted to paint my pumpkins. And so those are the colors I got. I only got 4. I got black, white, and a couple different golds. And then I just took my ideas and painted really simply. And I knew I wanted to do dots on my pumpkins, and they actually turned out to be my favorite. And so I made sure that I had this like really neat little brush that just does dots. So one of the things that my ideas had was it had painting the stems of all the pumpkins.
I love that. I really think that adds to it.
Well, thank you. Shall we move on to our next idea?
Yes.
Okay. And let's do the candy corn votives. And I have some supplies down here.
Okay.
Some candy corn.
So you need candy corn?
Yes, candy corn.
And an empty jar.
And this is one I just recycled from an old candle. These could also be used as party favors. So all you do is open up your candy corn, fill your jar about halfway, that's a little more than half. And then there's a couple different types of candles. You can get these little tea lights or these votives, depending on the shape of your jar or what you want it to look like. So then you just kind of shake it down there a little bit, and then you can get a couple more candy corns and just fit them around the outside here. And that's all it is. And then hopefully it will smell up your house like candy corn.
It's so amazing.
So very simple. So now let's move on to our next one. And let's talk about these cookies in a jar. This is a party favor, or you can give us as gifts, or you can make them for yourself. Online we had found this recipe, and it was already in a little printable, so we didn't have to do much of anything. We printed off the recipe, we put the ingredients in a jar, and then you just give it to a friend. So very easy. You'll take your cake mix. It calls for a spice cake mix. You could probably do a white or yellow if you don't like spice cake mix. And you just empty it into your jar here. There's only 4 ingredients in this recipe, and it's your boxed cake mix, chocolate chips, a can of pumpkin, and brown sugar. So you're gonna assume that your guests can go ahead and get their own pumpkin. Or I gave this as a gift, and I had extra canned pumpkin, and I just gave it to the guests with that. So you kind of have to push your chocolate chips down a little bit. And it actually doesn't say how many chocolate chips, but I found that it's about half a bag. Of course, if you had more at home, when you were making them, you could add them. And then you can make them into cookies, or What you could also do is put them in a pan and make them into bars. So.
Okay, and so then what you're doing is you're just putting the seal down.
Yep, putting the seal down first so that it will show your fabric when you put on your top.
And where did you find your fabric at?
I had my fabric just left over at home, and
awesome, and it matches
and
really
it coordinated, yeah. But I think you could just do about anything.
Sure.
And you wouldn't have to do the fabric; it just adds a little to it.
Or if you even had leftover burlap, maybe you could use some of that.
There you go. And so you just screw it on here, real easy, and then use double-sided tape and stick it on here. And this is just the baking directions, so your guest knows how to make your cookies.
Is that enough tape, or do you think one more piece?
Probably one more.
Okay, we'll put it right down the middle.
On the website that we found this printable, they also showed the recipe on it, the jar just like this, but the cookies were already made inside and stacked. So you could do that as well if you wanted to make it easy on your guest. So that's cookies in a jar. And let's go over our next one. Andrea, would you like to do the napkins?
Sure. Okay, so for our place setting, what we did is we had created candlestick napkins. And it's very simple. What I did is just bought some white napkins at Walmart. And then what you do is you take it and you fold it into a triangle. Then what you're going to do is take the lower straight edge and you're going to fold it up one time and press it down to kind of give it a crease. Then you're going to turn it over and you're going to fold it down again and you're going to give it a crease. Then you turn it back, you fold the edge in to give you to where the triangle comes down, yeah. And then you just start rolling it. And you roll it all the way to the end. And this can be as tight or as loose as you want it to be. Then when you get to the end of the tail, you just turn it inside and tuck it in the cap.
There you go.
And voila. And they just kind of add some height to your table.
And so you could put them on top of the plate or you could put them right beside it and kind of dress it up however you want.
Exactly.
Neat. Okay, well, I'm going to clear a little more of this off and show you how we spray painted these bottles to look like candy corns. And we have a nice centerpiece already made with some flowers in there. So that is what it will look like when you're done. And so you just start with a basic wine bottle and then you're going to clean it up. You're going to take your label off, wash it, take your cork off, save it, or whatever you do with it. And
how hard is it to get the labels off of wine bottles?
It's not too bad. Soak it in water, a little hot water and soap, or you could use Goo Gone and just kind of have to work at it for a little bit. But we did 8 or 9 bottles in 30 minutes or so. So it's not
bad at all.
It's not bad. It takes a little bit of patience, but not too bad. I have some spray paint back here. And so this is outside for sure. You'll take it outside. You spray paint them all white first.
How long did it take for them to dry?
It took, I did about 20 minutes between each layer.
Okay,
so
that's not too bad.
No, I just put down my cloth outside and then I had some wood blocks to prop them up. I did the bottoms first and let them dry, and then I did the rest of them. And then once you let it dry, then you do your orange stripe. And I freehanded it all. Some of them were jagged and I had to go back and kind of line them up a little bit. I didn't worry so much about the bottom because you're going to cover that up with the yellow. So in about 1 can, I ran out of white paint at the very end, but it covered about 10 bottles, 9 or 10.
Okay. And I like the way it looks kind of blended, just like candy corn kind of blends from one color to the other. It's kind of a gradient blend all the way through.
It kind of ombres. So yeah, once you get your orange ring on there, and I let it dry a little bit, set, and then just do the bottom with the yellow.
And then you have this really cool, and we took put three together and put flowers in the top and created a centerpiece with 3 fun, and they're high enough that when you're sitting at the table, they don't distract from your view.
You bet. So easy, easy. And so we have one last little craft to show you.
And this was another idea we had found that I believe it was on a blog that we had found, and we wanted to do something similar. We found a picture, and so what we did was we created, and this printable will be available on our Pinterest page, and we'll create it so that it's on 8.5 by 11 sheets. But what we did is we created this printable with Happy Fall, and then all you do is simply cut out each one, and you can either use like an X-Acto knife and an X-Acto mat and a straight edge ruler. That worked really well, and that's how I did it. Or it's just simple straight lines, so you actually could just use the scissors and cut each individual letter out. And then what I did is they had used this black and white background, and then the letters were gold, and that really played well into our painting of our pumpkins and some of the other things that we had done. So I chose this gold color, and I just used a paintbrush, and then I painted where the white is, I painted each letter and cut it all out. And then I cut slits, 1/4-inch slits in the tops, and used 1/8-inch cross grain ribbon and
then hung it up. So you have 2 slits in each little banner.
Yeah.
And you just feed it through the ribbon.
I think the picture that we had seen is they'd put it on their mantle and held it up. So that is something that you could do. You could hang it on curtains, you could hang it on your wall, whatever you want to do. Just adds a little bit of fun and festivity to it.
And we have one more. I actually forgot about this one. We didn't have it setting out here. This is going to be on our Pinterest page, and it's going to be a free printable for you guys, our viewers, to print out and put it in a frame. I actually had these frames laying around my house. I bought them a while back and never used them. I think that happens to a lot of people.
Definitely.
And so I just painted them white to match everything else that we were making, and then print this off just on regular paper and slipped it in there, and just got these easels at Walmart actually. So pretty inexpensive and just something to add to your decor.
Well, Faryn, now that we've got all our projects done, let's set the table.
Okay, let's go. Here's all of the projects we've just went over on our show, ready for our guests. We have our candy corn wine bottles and candles, painted pumpkins. We have our favorites for our guests here, our framed printable.
And we have our napkins and our sign on the wall.
Thank you for tuning in to Simple as That, and join us next time for some holiday ideas.